Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Samantha and in today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet my honey crossbody crochet phone sleeve. This is a new pattern of mine and the written version will be linked in the description box below, so be sure to check it out. However, this will be a very detailed tutorial. I'm going to go over everything with you from start to finish. So if you are more of a visual learner, then don't worry, I got you. We're gonna do this. So this is a very simple design. I believe that beginners can totally accomplish this. So if you can chain, you can single crochet, you can half double crochet, you have got this. And it's actually really fun too for more advanced crocheters if you like projects that are quick and easy, that you can just, watch a show and zone out into them or whatever you like to do, then this project is for you as well. It's really fun and I hope you guys enjoy making it. So without further ado, let's get into everything you need to make this phone sleeve. So the first thing you're going to need is some yarn, of course. For these two, I used Loops and Threads Soft Classic. This one is in the color Mushroom, and this is in the color Light Coral. But for today's video, I'm going to be using Red Heart Super Saver in the color Sienna. And you do not need a full skein of yarn. You could go buy one if you want a specific color and you're just feeling like you want to buy some yarn, go for it. However, you will not use a full skein, I promise you. You probably won't even use half of a skein. So it's a great project for using up some of these like half-used skeins of yarn in your stash. You're also going to need a 4.5mm crochet hook, a yarn needle. You want a smaller needle too, some embroidery floss. I'm using some that matches. I like that look, but it is your creativity. You do you. You're also going to need 3 stitch markers, a button, an optional bead, make it sure it's a large hole bead, tape measure, and some scissors. And that is it. So gather all your materials and let's get started. So to get started, grab your yarn and we're going to put a slip knot on our hook. So the way I do my slip knots is pretty easy. You take this end of your yarn, wrap around your finger once, twice, and then I hold it down here with my middle finger and my thumb. And then you're going to take this strand and pull it over the front strand. And then you're going to take this new back strand and put it over the new front strand and pull it off your finger. Pull up, and there's your slip knot. So put that on your hook, and we are ready to start chaining. So we're going to chain 14. So to chain, yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. That's it. So make 14 of those. So now that you have your 14 chains, we are going to start with a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So I like to work into the back bumps. You can work into this part of the chain if that's easier for you, but I like to work in the back bumps. So what I'm going to do is turn my work a little bit, just flip it over until you see these back bars going down the chain. We're going to go into the second back hump. So this is the first chain, and this is the second one. We're going into this hump here. So put your hook in there and make a single crochet. So yarn over pull through, yarn over, pull through both those loops on your hook. And we're going to work a single crochet in the next 11 stitches. So in these back bumps, go ahead and work your 11 single crochets. Sometimes a little tricky to get underneath them, but just use your finger. Go through. Okay, so once you've worked your 11 single crochets, you'll have a total of 12, including this first one that we made. So 12 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You'll have one chain remaining, and in this chain we are going to put 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, and 3, all in that same chain. And you're going to notice that it sort of sets you up for the next step, and it gives like this curve. It almost starts to form like almost like a candy cane. So from here, we're going to now be working into the bottom of our foundation chain. So we're going to work 11 single crochets, 1 in each of the next 11 stitches. So the next stitch is here. This is where we just worked the 3 into. This is where we're working our next stitch. Please excuse my dog. She enjoys being loud. So single crochet in that stitch, and then down until you have 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once you've worked those 11 single crochet on the bottom half of your chain, you should have something that looks like this. So for our next 2 stitches, we're going to be working into the first stitch that we made. So not the single crochet, where we worked the first single crochet into. So if you pull your stitches apart a little bit, you should get this little gap right here. That's where we're working in our single crochet. So right here. So work 2 single crochets into that gap. Now grab your stitch marker, just one of them, set it down, and we are going to start row 2. So for row 2, we're working into the back loop only. So your stitches will have what looks kind of like a V here. That's the top of your stitch. So this is the front loop and this is the back loop of the stitch. We're only working into the back loop. So into that back loop, put a single crochet and then mark that stitch with your stitch marker. Now into every stitch all the way around, we're going to put one single crochet in the back loop only. Now when you come to the end, the top here, this top half, and you get to your turn here, just keep going. Just keep working in the back loop only and going right around. Now you're on the bottom side again. And just keep working your single crochets in the back loop only until you reach the stitch marker. So the stitch before. Stop at the stitch before the stitch marker. So I'm coming up to the end and I have one stitch remaining. Putting a single crochet through the back loop of that stitch. And now we are going to stop working in continuous rounds and we're going to start joining. So into the stitch that you marked, make a slip stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, and pull through that stitch as well as the loop on your hook. That's a slip stitch. Now chain one and turn. And now you can go ahead and get rid of this stitch marker. You don't need it anymore. And we're ready to start row 3. So for row 2, you should have at the end 28 stitches all around before you start row 3. And from here on out, every row will have 28 stitches going all the way around. But before we start row 3, I'm going to pull my loop out a little bit, take my hook out, and I'm just going to weave in this starting tail. It kind of gets in the way and gets a little bit obnoxious, so just grab your yarn needle, go ahead and thread it, and weave that end in to this side. So this side is our right side, the side where you can see those front loops from the row that we worked into the back loops. That's our good side. So on the the wrong side, excuse me, we are going to just weave that end in. And I like to just go through a few of the stitches, making sure that my needle isn't showing through the other side. See how you can't see it? That's what you want. So pull that through, pull it out. Now don't pull it too tight because it will distort your stitches, but you just want it not showing over here anymore. And then I just go back up through that same bunch of stitches, go back up the opposite way, pull it out again, and then I do that one more time. And that really holds your tail in place and you don't have to worry about it popping out. So now you can snip that very close. And that's your starting tail woven in. Now we can start row 3. So for row 3 is the start of our 2-row pattern repeat. And that just means that the next 2 rows, so row 3 and row 4, are going to be the rows that we repeat over and over until the pattern tells you to stop. So for row 3, we're not working into, this is our chain 1. We're not working into that, it doesn't count as a stitch. This is our first stitch of the round. We are skipping that stitch. So skip this first one, go into, and you might have to turn your work over a little bit to see the tops of your stitches. But skipping this first stitch, work into the second stitch and place 2 half double crochets. So half double crochet, you yarn over, go into that stitch, making sure you're getting both loops here. Yarn over, pull through, you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. That's your first half double. So we're putting 2 half double crochets in that second stitch. So one more. Now you're going to skip the next stitch and into this stitch work 2 half double crochets. One, 2. Skip the next stitch and in the next work 2 half double crochets. And this is what we're going to repeat all the way around this round. So skipping the next and working 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. Now meet you up at the end. So I'm coming to the end of row 3. I have 3 stitches remaining. This one, and this one. And I'm going to skip this stitch as we have been doing, work 2 half doubles in the next. Now we're going to skip this last stitch and into the first half double crochet that we made. So this is our chain 1. That little, see that? This is our first half double crochet. So you have your skip stitch here, your chain 1, and now your half double crochet. So we're going to slip stitch into that first half double crochet. So slip stitch, chain 1, and turn. And you should have 28 stitches again, and your work should start to curve like this. That's exactly what you want. We're creating the body of the phone sleeve. So for row 4 is the second row of our pattern repeat. And we're looking at, this is the right side of our work. So for row 4, into every single stitch around, we're going to work a single crochet. So this is our chain 1. We're working into this first stitch, a single crochet. Now work a single crochet in all of the remaining stitches in this round. These are half double crochets that we're working into. So you might have to turn your work a little towards you just to see the top of the stitch. So you see how this kind of looks like the top of a stitch, but it's more gappy. That's the side. That's the side of the stitch. So you want to work into the top V. So work into that little gap that you see, and that'll put you right under the V of the top of the stitch. And just continue working single crochets all the way around. So I'm at the end of round 4, and I just want to show you, it's a good idea to count your stitches right now, because when you get to the end of round 4, it does look like there's a gap here, and you might be tempted to put a stitch right here. So when you get to the end of round 4, take your hook out, count your stitches. So just make sure that you have 28. So if you count around from the last stitch you just made, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. So I'm good. I have 28 stitches. I know that I need to join now. So ignoring that gap, it does look like you need to put a stitch there. Don't be tempted. You have 28 stitches, you're good to go. So into that first stitch, that's where we are going to put our slip stitch and join. So slip stitch, chain 1, and turn. So now for rounds 5 through 19, we're going to repeat rows 3 and 4. We're going to repeat that until we reach round 19. So I will repeat the pattern with you one more time while I'm all twisted here. So for round 5, we're working our half double crochets again. So we're not working into this chain. That's our chain 1, doesn't count. We're skipping our first single crochet from the round below, working 2 half doubles into the next stitch. Okay, skipping the next stitch, working 2 half doubles into the next. Skip the next, 2 half doubles into the next stitch. And work this all the way around. So coming around to the end of round 5, I have 3 stitches left. Skipping this stitch, working into the next, work 2 half doubles, skipping the last stitch, slip stitch into the first half double of the round. Chain 1 and turn. Now for round 6, we're back to our single crochet row. So remember, we're not working into the chain 1, it doesn't count as a stitch. We're only working into the half double crochets from the round below. So into this first one, put a single crochet, and then in every stitch around, 1 single crochet. remembering to make sure you're working into the right part of the half double. So right into here so that you're under the V. I know that can get a little bit confusing when you're looking at it, especially if you're a beginner. But as long as you are looking here at the side of the stitch and you can see that the top has that V, you're good. So just working into that space and you are good to go. Takes a little bit of practice, but I have faith in you. So work all your single crochets around and I'll meet you up at the end. So coming to the end of round 6, don't forget that this will have a gap here looking like you want to put a stitch here. Don't put your stitch there, just make sure you have 28 stitches around and then join to the first single crochet of the round with a slip stitch and then chain 1 and turn. So that is going to be the repeat until round 19. So you're going to just repeat rows 3 and 4 up until you reach round 19, and you should be ending on a half double crochet row. So when you finish the 19th row of half double crochet, stop there and I'll meet you back up. Okay, so I've just finished round 19 and I'm ending with 28 stitches and on a half double crochet row. Now is a really good time to go ahead and grab a phone and slide it into the sleeve. You should have at least 3/4 to an inch sticking out with your phone before we continue. So it should be looking like this. So you can slide that out and we're going to keep going with round 20. So for round 20 and for the rest of the rows of the sleeve here on out, we are just going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch around. We're still turning after every round and we're starting on the right side. We're just putting 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. So I'm at the end of round 20, joining with a slip stitch to the top of that first single crochet, chain 1, turn, and now for rounds 21 to 24, same thing, we're just putting 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So into that first stitch and every stitch around. And we're going to do this until we hit round 24. And when you finish round 24, do not join like we have been. I'll show you what to do when we get to that point. And you should be ending on the right side, looking at the right side of your work. So I'm going to work this up off camera and then I will meet you up to show you how we join at the end. So I'm at the end of round 24. I just have a couple stitches left. This is my last stitch and we're going to finish that stitch, but we're not going to join like we have been. So what we're going to do is cut our yarn, leaving about a 6-inch tail. And then you're going to pull this through all the way out. And then you're going to grab your yarn needle, pop it on. Okay, so now what we're doing is the invisible join. We do this so that there's no little bump or gap from a chain 1 at the top. So what you're going to do, kind of pull your phone sleeve open a little bit so you can see. And we're going to go into the second single crochet from round 24. So take your needle, insert, skip the first stitch, and insert into both loops of the second stitch. Pull that through. And don't pull it all the way tight yet. Now we're going to go back into this first stitch that we made, or excuse me, the last stitch that we made. But we're going to only go through the back loop. So only through here. We're going to go through the back loop, pull that out, and what we're doing is we're creating a mock stitch basically, and it's going to look like, you want to pull it a little bit but not too tight, so that it looks like it just rests right on top of that stitch, and then you can't even tell that you joined. Okay, so once you've done that, go ahead and turn it a little so that you're looking at the wrong side, and we're going to weave this tail in. So coming from here, just as we did with the starting tail, we're just going to run it through a few stitches. This doesn't have to be perfect, just make sure it's not showing out the back side, your needle. And then just weave this tail in, making sure that you're happy with the way the invisible join is laying. That looks good, so I'm just going to continue weaving this end in. One more time. Okay, and now you can snip this off. And that is the body of the phone sleeve complete. You see how that invisible join just looks so much cleaner and nicer. You can't really even tell there's any join anywhere. Love it. Okay, so we're going to move on now. Okay, so now we're going to make our pocket. So go ahead and grab your yarn and put a slip knot on your hook. Now, so I'm using the same color yarn to make my pocket. You can totally use a different color if you want some contrast. I will show you sewing it on with 2 different colors so that you can see better. But for now, I'm going to make the pocket with this color. So once you got a slip knot on your hook, go ahead and chain 12. Okay, so I have my 12 chains. We are going to be working into the second chain from the hook. In the back bumps, you can work into the side if you prefer. but I'm going to work into the back bump in the second chain and put a single crochet. Now you're going to put a single crochet in the rest of your remaining stitches. All the way down. So that's row 1 complete. We are going to chain 1, turn. We're going to skip the first stitch. So this is our chain 1, this is our first stitch. We're going to skip this, work into the second single crochet, put 2 half double crochets. Skip the next stitch and into the next stitch, work 2 half double crochets. Got a little tangle. Skip the next stitch and into the next, work 2 half doubles, and just continue this until you have 1 stitch remaining. So when you get to the end of the row, you'll have 1 stitch left. Don't worry, that's supposed to happen. So we're just going to put 1 half double crochet into that stitch. Making sure you're getting both loops. Make a half double crochet. Chain 1, turn, and we're back to a single crochet row. So we're going to put 1 single crochet in every stitch across. And you will have 11 stitches at the end of every row. Chain 1, turn, and this is the pattern we're going to be repeating. So just as before with the body, except we're working now in rows instead of in rounds. One half double crochet in the last stitch, chain 1, turn, and we're going to repeat this until we reach row 10. So you will be ending on a half double crochet row once again. So I'm going to work that up off camera and I will meet you back up. So I just finished round 10 of my pocket, and we're going to chain 1, turn, and the next 3 rows are just going to be single crochet back and forth. So 1 single crochet in every stitch across, chain 1, turn, 1 single crochet in every stitch back, chain 1, turn, and 1 single crochet in every stitch. So we're going to do that for 3 rows. Just 1 single crochet into every stitch. So once you get to the end of round 13, go ahead and stop, and I will meet you up at that point. So at the end of round 13, go ahead and chain 1. And now take your working yarn, so the yarn that's attached to your skein, and just take it and loosely go around your whole pocket just to see about how much we need to cut, because we're going to use this strand to sew our pocket on. So I generally do around like that roughly, and then just go up a little from that, so I know I have a little bit extra. So you'll have a long tail, just snip that tail and pull it all the way through this chain 1. That is your pocket finished. We just need to weave in this end to the back. So when you're ready to sew your pocket on, there is really no right or wrong way to sew it on. You can go ahead and sew it exactly how you're comfortable with. However, whatever method that you know and like, you can use to sew this pocket on. I personally just used a whip stitch because I used colors that are the same for the pocket and the body of the phone sleeve. So it doesn't really matter if you're doing it that way, especially how you choose to sew on your pocket. The only thing I recommend is that you line it up perfectly with the top of row 2. So this one I did in different colors so you can see a lot easier. But you lay your pocket down so that it lines up with row 2. So the top of row 2, as you can see, is right here. That's the top of row 2. So where you see these bars here from when we did the back loop only row, just go right up from that and line up your pocket with the top of that row. And then you can go ahead and sew it on however you wish. Okay, now that your pocket is attached, it should look like this. Very nice, blend it in. Perfect. Okay, so now you're just going to weave this end in, and I just fold the pocket down a little bit and then weave it into the stitches like we have been doing. So for the next part, go ahead and slide your phone into your sleeve. Just makes this next step a lot easier. So looking at your phone sleeve from the top, you're going to notice that the sides here are made up of 3 stitches. So you have your first stitch, your second stitch, and your third stitch for this side. And then over here you have your first stitch, your second stitch, and your third stitch. So what you're going to do is grab your stitch markers, and I recommend doing 2 of the same color here and then 1 different color, but set the different color aside for now. and go ahead and grab one of your matching stitch markers and mark the center stitch of the 3 stitches that make up the side. So mark that stitch. And then what you're going to do is from the next stitch over, so it would be the top stitch of the 3 side stitches here, and then you're going to count from that stitch until you hit 13 stitches. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So when you reach the 13th stitch into the 14th, that's going to be the other stitch that you mark. So go ahead and mark that 14th stitch. Having a little trouble here. There we go. Mark that 14th stitch. And what you should have is 13 stitches in between on this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then 13 stitches on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Perfect. So that's exactly what you want. And you're just going to leave these in for the time being and ignore them for now. So now what we're going to do is from these marked stitches, we're going to count from both sides at once into the center, and we're going to do that on the back side, so the opposite side that your pocket's on. So from each side, you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So you're going to count in 6 from each side, and that will give you your middle stitch. So go ahead and mark that stitch, that center stitch, with your other stitch marker of the different color. Okay? Perfect. So now we're going to make our loop closure. So go ahead and grab your yarn again. Put a slip knot on your hook. Now looking at the back of your work, you're going to find that center stitch that we marked, and we are going to go to the right of it. So starting here, insert your hook and put a slip stitch into that stitch. Zooming you guys in a little bit more. Okay, so now that you have that slip stitch and you're attached, go ahead and chain 14. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Okay, so you'll have this tail and your chain of 14. So now what we're going to do is go to the stitch to the left of your stitch marker, and making sure that your chains aren't twisting. I like to kind of just hold them like this so I know that they're in place and not twisted. And then into the stitch to the right of your, or excuse me, to the left of your stitch marker, slip stitch. Now chain 1, cut your yarn leaving about 6 inches, and pull that through. Pull it a little tight, and now you have your loop and these 2 strands hanging down below. So you can go ahead and take out this stitch marker. We don't need it anymore. And so what we're going to do is we're going to grab our yarn needle again. And I want to thread both of these tails. It's okay if they're not the same length. But I'm going to thread both of these tails onto my needle at once. Get those through. And now what you're going to do is we're going to hold this loop, our chain loop, up, and go ahead and start wrapping our strands around our loop. So it's a little bit tricky to show you, but just keep wrapping around your loop. I like to do like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. Okay. And now that you have that, just pull it nice and snug, just like that. Take your tail ends, and you should have ideally both of them in your needle. Mine was a little short, but that's okay. So we're going to take both strands, or one at a time, up to you. I'm going to do one at a time because mine is too short. So go ahead and take your needle and go behind and underneath out the bottom of those wraps you just made, and then pull that down and pull it tight. So I'm going to do that one more time. Can be a little stubborn. It's very tight. Getting there. There we go. So pull that down again, pull it tight, and then this one should not be here. It should have been with this, but it was just a little too short. So if that happens, you can just do it with the one strand, the longer strand, and it will still be just as secure. So you can go ahead and just snip that if you had a shorter tail, and then snip your bottom tail. And then when you turn it, you should have this cute little knot at the bottom. See? So now we need to sew on our button. So to sew on the button, leave the phone sleeve in still. I think that still makes it a little bit easier. And then this is what I like to use the smaller needle for, and my embroidery floss. So grab your button, your embroidery floss, and your smaller needle. And I like to cut out about a foot for a button, a foot of your embroidery floss. Go ahead and snip that. And then on one end of the embroidery floss, go ahead and make a slip knot. leave maybe like 2 inches on the tail. Make your slip knot with this and leave it. Go to the other side of your strand. Get this out of the way. Go to the other side of your strand and thread your needle. Now I'm going to have a hard time seeing this, so bear with me. Okay, needle threaded. All right, so now grab your button and your main phone sleeve. We're going to sew the button on around row 22. So you look, this is our row 19. It's our last row of half doubles. This is where our 5 rows of single crochet start. So this would be round 20, 21, and 22. So right there in the center. So line that up, making sure that it is lined up perfectly with your loop. Mine is, so I'm going to go ahead and take my needle and my embroidery floss, and I'm going to start from the back end. I'm going to hold it with my thumb and start from the back side and find one of the holes of your button, bring your needle through and pull it out until your slip knot that you made at the other end stops you. So once that slip knot is touching right here, can you see? So once that's touching, go ahead to your front side again, making sure that your button's nice and straight, and go into another hole, bring it out, but then you're going to catch this slip knot's loop. So make sure that your needle goes through the loop of your slip knot and pull that all the way out, and then pull it nice and tight so that your slip knot closes around the button, just like that. And that'll give you a really secure knot. And then you're just going to continue going back and forth through holes of the button a couple times. However many holes you have in your button, just use your best judgment and go ahead and do this a couple times until you're happy and you feel that it's not going to come undone. But end when you're pulling it out of the back side, because what we need to do then is grab both of our tails, so the tail that was from our slip knot and the rest of what we were sewing the button on with, and we're just going to tie that in a couple knots, just regular basic knots. I like to do like 3, sometimes even 4 times, just to make sure that baby's not coming out. So once you're happy that it's secure, go ahead, snip those tails, and that is your button sewn on. And now you have your little button closure. Cute. All right, let's keep going. So the next thing we're going to do is make the tassel for our closure. So we're going to grab our embroidery floss and unwind some. Now we're going to take this end and hold it like this with our 2 fingers. Okay? So holding that in place, go ahead and take this end and wrap around just your 2 fingers. And I like to do this about 20 times. So just wrap and wrap until you get to about 20. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to take my scissors, snip that off, and then you have this wrapped around your finger here. Go ahead, pinch it, and pull out your fingers. Sometimes takes a little wiggling. Okay, and then hold it from the top. And then down here at the bottom, go ahead and snip that. Just like that. Now you can get rid of this longer strand. Don't need it. So now you just have this bundle here of these strands. So you're going to take another strand of embroidery floss, about 8 inches or so. Cut that off. And then take your strands that you had, lay the new strand down, and put these in the center just like that. So now take each end and carefully just tie a knot. Oop. See, I said carefully. Just slide that back down. Okay, that never happened. We're good. Pull that nice and tight. I like to do a double knot just to make sure that it is secure. So you're holding that tight, and you're going to keep these 2 top strands so that you can take your tassel and just fold it down like this. See? Okay. And now if you're using a bead, now's the time to thread it onto these strands. So I'm going to go ahead and thread that. Okay, I had to thread that off camera because it's just a little bit too humbling to try and get both strands of my embroidery floss into my tiny, tiny needle on camera. So once you get it threaded, go ahead and take your bead, and you want to make sure before you do any of this that your bead that you're using, if you're using one, will fit through this needle. So that's why you need the smaller needle. So go ahead and put the bead on. Sorry, my hands were a little shaky. And just slide that down all the way to the bottom, making sure that you pull out like that. So you have your bead and you're leaving these tails. So now the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to grab one more strand of the embroidery floss, this time just about 6 inches. Snip that. And then we're going to take this strand that we just snipped, lay it down. We're going to grab our tassel and we are going to lay it towards the top, over the top of the strand that we just made. Now we're going to tie another knot so that it pulls that together. Sorry, that was in the shadow a little bit. But it pulls that top bit together and creates that tassel look. So tie a double knot. Nice and tight. And then go ahead and you can probably use your yarn needle for this. It's a lot easier to thread, but just thread those tails onto a needle, and then looking at the back side, so where the knot is, just run these strands through behind that knot and to the bottom of the tassel. Okay, so now you can go ahead and snip and trim your tassel how you want it, as short as you'd like. I don't recommend going too short because then you run the risk of these pieces just coming out. So once you get it trimmed to your liking, go ahead and grab your smaller needle again. And I like to just hold it in place and pick at these strands a little bit. As you can see, some of them are going a little crazy. But we're just gonna pick at them, like kind of like we're brushing them out. And I just kind of turn it at the front. And we're just continuing to pull some of those strands apart so that it's a little fluffier and just overall looking nicer. Okay, so once you're happy with that, just make sure it doesn't need any extra trimming. Okay, mine is good now. And that is your tassel made. Cute. All right, so now we're gonna attach it. So to attach your tassel, go ahead and grab your sleeve and go ahead and unbutton it if it's buttoned. And what we're going to do is grab our tassel and grab just one of the strands, like separate them, and grab just one of the strands for now. Go ahead and thread it onto a needle. You can use whichever needle. I'm just using the smaller one to thread it. Can't see. Okay, I'm going to use the bigger one because it's just easier. So go ahead and use whatever needle you want. I'm just on time crunch, so I need to not spend 5 minutes trying to thread it. So once you get your needle threaded, go ahead, and this is kind of fiddly, but go ahead and find the center stitch of your chain loop. Doesn't have to be exactly center, but just up here, and go through the top of that, through some of the loops of the chains. Just go through and pull that so that it brings it to the top. Okay. And now you can just run this tail up through the chains, and you can be a little neater than I'm being. I am just kind of flying through this, but just go ahead and run your needle down through some of the stitches, and then underneath that knot we made. bring it all the way. This is really tricky to show you on camera, but bring it all the way under that loop. Pull it out and make sure that when you pull it, you're not, I'll show you what happens if you pull it too tight. See how that like cinched in the chain? You don't want that, so just make sure that it's not too tight. And then you can go ahead, and I'm not going to do this on camera because it just is too fiddly, but you're going to do the same thing with the other strand of your tassel. Run it up the other side of your loop and back out here where you brought out the other one. And then you'll tie those two strands in a knot and then separately weave them into the back side like we have been weaving in our yarn. So I hope that makes sense. If you have questions about it, just go ahead and leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer. But it's pretty straightforward. So just go ahead and get that part done. I'm going to do mine off camera and I'll meet you back. So once your tassel is attached, it should look something like this. And now your little button closure is even cuter. Look at that. So cute. Okay. So last but not least, we are going to make our strap. And the strap is made with a Romanian cord. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So the Romanian cord, it's a little bit fiddly at first, but once you get the hang of it, it flies by. So go ahead and grab your yarn and leave a decently long tail because we're going to use this tail to sew the strap to the bag. So I leave about a foot and then make my slip knot there. Pop it on your hook and chain 2. 1, 2. And now into that first chain we made, so here, from the second chain from the hook, so not this first one, this one, first chain. We're going to put a single crochet into that chain. So now we're going to turn our work clockwise. So turn it just like this, so that these stitches, the top of your single crochet, the loops, are facing up. So you can see this is the top of our stitch. So now what we're going to do, you see this bar right here? We're going to work a single crochet into that bar. So just go ahead, turn your hook, put it under that bar, and make a single crochet. Now turn your work clockwise again so that the stitch, the top of the stitch is facing up. And now you have 2 bars. So I know it's a little tricky, but there's 2 bars here. And we're going to work a single crochet under both of those bars. So single crochet, turn clockwise, find the 2 bars, and single crochet into those bars. Turn clockwise, find the 2 bars, and single crochet. Okay, I'll show you one more time. Turn clockwise, under the 2 bars, a single crochet. You can see it makes this like almost braided looking cord. So we're just going to keep doing this over and over again until your strap is the length that you want it to be. So in the pattern I have 35 inches. That's a good length for me. I like the way it lays when I'm wearing it. If you wanted yours longer or shorter even, just do less inches. It's really just up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and work this until I get to 35 inches. And then I will come back to show you where to sew and what to do next. So just keep working on your strap till it is the length that you want it to be. In my case, it's 35 inches. Okay, so once you're happy with the length of your strap, go ahead and grab your scissors and leave a long tail once again for sewing. Snip that, pull that through, and now you're going to grab either end of your strap, it doesn't matter which one you start with, and go ahead and sew the strap to the stitches that we have marked. So sew one side here and one side here, and make sure you don't twist the cord when you bring it over to this side. So go ahead and sew that on. So I've sewn on one side and I'm going to show you how to do the other. So go ahead and make sure that you're running your hands across your strap just to make sure that it's not twisted, and get your other end. Thread it onto your needle, and then we're going to just take where we marked the stitch that we marked earlier. Just going to go through that stitch, pull it until it touches, till the strap touches, and then I like to grab the strap, go into that same stitch again, do that a couple times. You can get rid of this stitch marker because we do not need it. So I just go back and forth a couple times through the strap and the base of the sleeve. And just run that through until I feel it's secure and I like the way it looks. Tighten it up, and then I like to just run my end up through the cord and weave it in that way. I feel it's a lot more secure and you won't have to worry about it. your strap popping off. So snip that. And you have a completed foam sleeve, my friends. Super cute, super easy, and so fun. And that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more content from me. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!